Hi, hello, and namaste. This side Priya Rana, Assistant Professor at ST College, Ambala, Kent, and this is my second video of communication. And firstly, we are going to discuss about the types of communication in this. Number one type is intrapersonal communication. Intrapersonal communication means when I am communicating to myself on a specific topic or on a specific thing. If I have my own viewpoint and I don't want it to be shared with another person, I'm just talking to myself. I should do this, I should do that, or what are the pros and cons of that thing. If something is going on in my head, that is intrapersonal communication. Okay, next is interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication means when I am exchanging information between two or more persons or to another person, not with myself but with others. That is interpersonal communication. Next is group communication. Group communication means when uh, there are certain members in a group and they are discussing about something, they're communicating about something to achieve a common goal in the organization. If I say, for example, in a cricket team, when before starting the match, when all the people, all the members, when they communicate with each other, they are communicating in order to achieve the goal, in order to win the match. What communication they does there, that is a group communication. Next is mass communication. Mass communication means when I am communicating to n number of people at the same time, that is mass communication. Meta communication, see, this word I think many times it comes, so I have put it here. Meta communication means that when I unintentionally use some words which communicates something more than what the actual thing states. See, suppose I have used this line for a person, like, I have never seen you so smartly dressed. So what does this convey? This conveys that one thing, I think, it conveys that the listener need to have a dress improvement, or maybe he is not being dressed from the previous time properly. Maybe I don't consider him a good dressed person. So there are many ways which communicates directly or indirectly to the person, whatever he takes it. So sometimes we call it double meaning kind of things also. So meta communication means when we unintentionally communicate something more than the actual word states. If I say just like that, I have never seen you so smartly dressed, it means that from earlier times, today he's looking more good than the previous one. So there are many ways of communication, and when the speaker chooses the words unintentionally and the listener uses it in some other way, that is meta communication. Next is 7 C's of communication. See, this is given by Cutlip and Center in 1953 in Effective Public Relations. Number one is clear. Clear means your message should be clear enough and understandable enough. Number two is correct. It should be correct. It shouldn't be having any grammatical or spelling error. Otherwise, it would be difficult for the receiver to make the decisions properly and give a feedback. Next is complete. Uh, your message should be complete enough to give the information to convey the required message or required information as needed. Next is concrete. Concrete means it should be clear enough. There shouldn't be any misinterpretation inside it. It should have a clearly, it should be clearly mentioned message. So whatever the sender is saying, it should be clearly understood by the receiver. It should be concrete enough. Next is conscious. Conscious means that the message should be precise and to the point. That means instead of writing 4 to 5 pages of a lengthy message which is not required, maybe one or two pages should be enough if the matter and the words used in it is correct. Next is consideration. Consideration means I have to consider the thing, the mindset of the person to whom I'm communicating, the knowledge level of the person. See, if I'm communicating here on this platform, if I'm communicating communication, I cannot teach you MSc subjects or other chemistry subjects, because I have to consider that what mindset you guys are having at this particular point of time. See, that's how I have to consider while sending the message. Next is courteous. Courteous means I have to I have to make sure that I should have respect for your feelings and your viewpoints. Just because of that, I have to think that I have to use the words in a positive way rather than negative way, and it should have an impact on you. Like, I am an unbiased person who is communicating. I just don't look at many other things. I basically, courteous means here the sender should consider such things which is unbiased, and he should be truthful, he should be a balanced person. It shows like it's written that it must include, in last line it's written that it must include the terms which shows respect to the receiving. That means like I have to show some respect in my conversation. It shows my courtesy towards others and towards my topic also. Okay, moving on. 4S of effective communication. Number 1 is short. Whatever message you are conveying, it should be short and simple. And next is strength. It should be short enough to create an impact. Strength means, instead of, that's what I've said earlier also, instead of writing a number of pages to communicate, just write a few pages in which you can communicate well and create an impact on the mind of the person whatever you want to communicate. Next is sincerity. Sincerity means the sender should be genuine. There shouldn't be any falsification of the subject matter what he's communicating. So it should be clear, simple, and it should have an impact on the person, and he should be sincere enough, rather than being any falsification in his messages. It should create an impact on the credibility of the sender also, like he's credible enough, he's sincere enough, he has given the conversations previously also. So sincerity is important in effective communication. Next is types of communication. Number 1 type is formal communication. So we have two types. Number 1 is formal communication, and after few slides we'll learn about informal communication also. Okay, formal communication means when we follow a proper channel, from this person to this person, from this person to this person. When we follow a proper channel, this is formal communication. In an organization, we have to make sure that superior gives the orders and subordinates follows that. So this is formal communication. We, in formal communication, we have vertical communication and horizontal communication. Firstly, vertical communication. As the name suggests, vertically, from upward to downward, through formal channels. This happens in suppose application of grant of leave. When I'm asking for any leave, this when I'm asking for any leave or submission of the process of the progress report or any other thing like that, these are the example where I have to communicate upward. I have to for leave, I have to get sanction on my leave document. For if I have to submit my report, my appraisal report, suppose I have to communicate it upward. This is vertical communication, in which I follow this step from here to here, or from here to here, from superior to subordinate, from subordinate to superior. This is vertical communication. Next is horizontal communication. Horizontal communication means when I'm communicating between the divisions. Suppose from one department or the another, this is the accounts department, this is the marketing department, and this is the sales department. So when I'm communicating to like these departments, this is horizontal communication. We have informal communication network, we have these things which I think we should take care of when we are preparing up for our UGC net. Because formal communication network, we have formal communication network. Number one is chain network. In chain network, we have to follow a path for, because A here has to send the message from B to C, and C, if C wants to communicate to E, he has to send the message to through D. So this is the path which has to be followed. Next is wheel. In wheel network, what happen is D cannot communicate with E, he has to communicate through A, sorry. That means that A is the middle person through which all the communication goes on. He is the one who will give orders, and uh, uh, different people who are connected with him, they all have to communicate to him. Only then the message gets transferred to different people. Next is circular. In circular, uh, it is written that each person is able to communicate it with his adjoining two persons. Like D, if he wants to communicate to any other person, he can only communicate it with the person adjoining to him, that is C and E. D can communicate only with C and E. Next is free flow communication. In free flow communication, you can communicate with anybody. Next is inverted V. In inverted V, what happen is these C and D are the subordinates. They can communicate to their superior B, and they can also communicate to the superior, that is B is a superior and B superior is A. They can communicate to B also, they can communicate directly to A also. So that's why it's known as inverted V. Talking about informal communication means like when you don't follow a particular channel to communicate, you just communicate as you want. That is informal. Suppose if I am talking to my friend, my colleagues, my relatives, that is informal communication. Okay. In this informal communication is also known as grapevine communication. So grapevine communication is informal communication, and informal communication is grapevine communication. Okay. Talking about the channels or network of informal communication, types of grapevine network, if I talk about this, number one is single strand. Single strand means that X communicate Y through intervening persons in a strands. It means like if X want to say anything to Y, he is communicating through the persons between him. See, if I have said something to in my home to my mother will communicate to my father will communicate to my granny, and my granny will communicate to my grandfather, and this is how the process goes on. And then the communication is being said directly to my brother, to whom I want to say this thing, any information or any message to whom I want to convey. So this is single strand. Next is gossip. Gossip means when X non-selectively communicating with with everyone. X non-selectively, he is communicating with everyone. Like he's not picking up or choosing up, I'll say this thing to him, but he's non-selectively telling it to everyone. This is gossip. Next is probability. Probability is when X communicating randomly with others according to the law of probability. When he thinks like uh, they there is a chances of communicating that message to his near and dear ones, there is a probability of being sending that message to his near and dear ones. So this is the probability network of grapevine network. Lastly is cluster is when he is selectively communicating with those he can trust. I hope you're getting this. If I give you an example of this, when I communicating something to some my friend who is who is maybe not close to me, when I say like I trust you, don't tell it to anybody, then this is cluster. This is cluster network, and that person also send it to another person like I trust you, please don't do this. This is grapevine network, in which this is grapevine net part of cluster network. So I hope this is understood. If I say single strand, when I'm X is communicating to Y through the intervening persons, and gossip means when X is communicating non-randomly to anyone, and probability means when he is randomly telling it to the other persons. Cluster means when on the basis of his trust he is communicating with other persons. Next is non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication means without the use of language of words. See, it is written. Communication network without the use of language of words is the non-verbal communication. Okay. How without the words he can make use of his expression, body movement, sounds, signs, symbols, colors, charts, graphs, and maps. Okay. uh, first thing First thing is, there are many codes which which conveys his behavioral norms. These behavioral norms are being given the names. They are, number one is proxemics. uh, Proxemics means the distance maintained between sender and the receiver. it it shows it shows like which his communication level. For example, when he's in his intimate zones, he will having 0 to 2 feet of distance between them. Like this is the example of intimate distance. Next is personal distance. Personal distance means when you, this is the example of personal distance, when you are communicating with your family members like your father, your grandfather, your mother, your relatives, your cousins. So this is the personal distance. You will have 2 to 4 feet of distance between them. Next is social distance. Social distance means when in an organization, say when in a party, what decorum you maintain there, like 4 to 12 feet of distance you make there. uh, this is the example of social distancing. Public distance means in a public, when you are maintaining the distance, that is public distance. It can be more than 12 feet, less than or more than 12 feet also, not too close but more than. Okay, talking about chronemics. Chronemics means uh, when some when you make sure that the person who is communicating with us, he is properly on time. When he make use of the time in a proper way, the ethics that it shows about him, this is a normal non-verbal communication. What is he communication what is he sorry communicating at that particular point of time? He's communicating like uh, he is punctual, he is willingness to wait, or he's interactive enough. So chronemics means according to the time what we observe about that person, it communicates us many things. Like the person, if the person is on time always, he's punctual. If the person is willingness to listen, he's still waiting, that means like he has the willingness and eagerness to listen to us. When I see that the person is at many places and he is interacting to the people, this shows his a non-verbal code that the person is interactive enough with the persons. So according to the time, uh, according to the time or the ethics of proper use of time by the person, it shows many things about the personality or his behaviors also. Next is artifacts. Artifacts means, if for example, if I am going uh, to a person's house, if I see that he has very good house, he has good decor, he has a very good car, so what does it convey to me? Like this person is rich, this person has a good family status, this person has a good surroundings, good layout. So artifacts, his things or his belongings also shows many things, many messages it conveys to the person. Next is kinetics. Kinetics is a study of physical movements of the body. What kind of physical movements? Facial expressions. Number one is facial expression. What facial expression is making? Is he sad? Is he happy? Is he willingness to listen? What face expression he is showing? And this is the study of his bodily movement, like eye contact. Is he maintaining eye contact with the audience, the speaker? If he is doubtful, uh, the person can look into his eyes, and maybe it conveys like he's doubtful enough, maybe he's confused and nervous. Next is paralanguage. Paralanguage means it deals with the expression of emotion and feeling with the help of different tone of voice. For example, if there's utterness in the voice of a person, what does it shows like? What does it shows like? The person may be excited enough, according to the personal behaviors. If I say like, if in a group he say like, we can go, and if he's doing like he's confused enough, so these kind of a thing which shows according to his voice tones, what expression or what emotion he's conveying, that is paralanguage. So we can say paralanguage is when there is expression of emotion and feelings while using different tones of voices. Next is gestures. Gestures means when I'm showing my thumbs up, what does it show? That I'm appreciating something. When I'm nodding my head, that means that I'm agreeing to something, and maybe if I'm not agreeing with that. Next is posture. Posture means if I'm standing straight, if I'm standing like with my head high, it shows like I'm confident enough, I'm bold enough. Okay, these are the things your posture shows about your personality or your behavior also. Next is dress and appearance. What dress you are making for a presentation style, appearance, your appearance. So these things also convey many things. Next is haptics. Haptics means when suppose for example, if I tap on a person's back, what does it show? Like I'm appreciating him. So this is haptics, when you are not saying anything but you are touching or showing your emotions to a person, that is haptics. Talking about barriers of communication. Barriers means the problems, the hurdles, or the obstructions in communication. Number one is organizational barriers. Organizational barriers means when the person cannot communicate freely in an organization because of the rigid rules and regulation or cumbersome procedures, then this becomes a hurdle in communication. So this hurdle in an organization called as organizational barrier. Next is personal barrier. Personal barrier means when you doesn't communicate anything in an organization due to due to some reason. Maybe you have that kind of authority, you couldn't able to communicate that, uh, so you suppress your emotions, your feelings, your information, your your thought in that way. So that is personal barrier. See, if I say that if a superior thinks that a particular communication may adversely affect his authority, he may suppress that communication. This is personal barrier. Next is attitude barrier. Attitude barrier means if you're introvert or extrovert, certain things are hampering you from communicating anything. That is attitudinal barrier. Next is perception barrier. Perception barrier means when you are communicating something but the receiver receives it in some other way, and he takes it the thing in some other way. That is perception barrier. According to his perception, the receiver has received the message in some other way. So this is perception barrier. Psychological barrier. Psychological barrier means if somebody have a different kind of psychological issues. For example, some people have stage fears, speech disorders, phobia, depressions, etc. All these conditions are very difficult to manage sometimes, so we can say that psychological barriers may be according to the psychology of the person. Any problem or any issues which create in communicating to the public just because of his mental and psychological issues, that is psychological barrier. Lastly, semantic barrier. Semantic barrier means when I am communicating something to the person and the person couldn't able to encode that properly. For example, faulty translations. If I have said something but the receiver hasn't received it in a proper way, he has not translated the way I have sent it, that is semantic barrier. Suppose if I have used a technical word and the person couldn't able to understand that technical word, that is semantic barrier in an organization. Suppose if I've said something and the person have interpreted it in different way, that is semantic barrier. See, I have given this example also, I want to elaborate it. For example, a manager has to communicate with workers who have no knowledge of the English language. On the other side, he is not well conversant with the language Hindi. Here the language is a barrier, as the manager may not be able to communicate properly with the workers. So this is a semantic barriers example. When the superior cannot able to communicate with the subordinate just because a language, because he is not well conversant with the Hindi language, he can only speak English language. So this way language has become a barrier in communicating. So thank you. This was all from my second video.